What is up, everyone? Thank you for joining us tonight. And it's a little bit different, right? Because we're not live right now.
I know, it's weird.
So, with the holidays and everything going on, we wanted to definitely get this interview in and up. However, that meant we had to pre record it so that we would be able to possibly get out 2 episodes this week. So, hopefully, you all know that we are in chat with you if you're watching this on the premiere. And just like a live, you can ask questions and we'll be able to respond to them in chat. But
Yes. Hello, Taco. I'm just guessing.
yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
who
Pick
would
a
be
name
there?
of
Hey,
somebody you know.
Holly.
That's
Yeah. Tim.
we
Taylor.
could have gone away with it for a little while. But let's bring up one of our road trip crew members with us, Mr. Josh Owens. What is going on, buddy? He left.
Howdy.
There he is.
Howdy.
Hey, thanks for coming up with us tonight. We got a very special guest with us tonight on this panel, and this is one of, we say, the child actors from the home haunt years, and then moved into the extreme haunt years. So this is going to be a nice transition. I know that we just wrapped up with Dino on our last episode where
Yes. People can know that now because this is going to be airing after that live.
And so we saw in the last episode, we saw the home haunt years end. However, this guest did have a little bit of a part in those years. So we are going to rewind a little bit back in time and touch base with that and then transition into the extreme haunt years. So without further ado, let's bring up our special guest tonight, Miss Mercedes.
Hello.
Hey, thanks for joining us tonight. It means a lot that you are willing to come up here and share your story with us. We really do appreciate helping spread this awareness about the manor.
Thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate everything you guys are doing.
We're back, and so Boston, go ahead. You can finish saying.
Yes, I was just saying we got a chance to speak with Mercedes, all of us, for the first time a few weeks ago, and she gave us so much of her time. So thank you again for giving us a lot of your time tonight. But it was, let's just say we ended that phone call, and I think we all had to take a big breath because there were some things clarified that maybe we had assumed, or maybe other people assumed over the years. There were some things that was completely new information to us, and then some things that I don't know where I'm going with this, but some things that let's just say Mercedes is a very, very brave individual, and being so vulnerable and open and sharing your story now as an adult with the world is huge, and we can't thank you enough for your time. So thanks for being here, and thanks again for letting us just bombard you with questions when we first had that phone call.
Of course. Let me make sure I'm in the right place. You guys can still hear me, right?
We can hear you.
Yes, we can hear you. We just can't see it.
Okay, there we go.
Okay. All right. So, do we want to start from the beginning?
Yeah, let's start from the beginning. What year was it that you actually became part of the actors in McKamey Manor?
So it's either 2011 or 2012. Definitely no earlier than that, and not as late as 2013. So it has to be somewhere in there. But I was a little bit younger, so the years can kind of get mixed up. Excuse me. So yeah, it was about 2011, 2012 when I first started.
Okay, so obviously a kid. How do you even come across this home haunt and be like, hey, this is where I want to act?
Right. So I first came across the haunt at a neighborhood park meeting. I mean, not meeting. It was like a festival they did every year. And Russ was the DJ at this neighborhood event, and he made an announcement to everyone asking, who wants to, I need actors for this haunted house. Who would be interested? Everyone's welcome. And I said, you know what, as a little kid that loved scary things, who wasn't very understood about that, it was like music to my ears. So I went up to him and I talked to him, and he said, yeah, we're looking for new actors, blah, blah, blah. So we set up a meeting or a time for me to go over there and meet all the other actors and stuff like that. So that's kind of how it got started.
Okay. And at the time, again, you're not 100% solid on the year. From speaking with other actors who were around at that time, I think it's a good likelihood it was probably like late 2011 you hopped on board, maybe at the end of the haunt season, and then were there through the 2012 year. And then, of course, as we know, through 2014. But how old were you roughly when you first started working there?
If I did start 2011 later, which makes sense to me, I would have been 12, probably just turning 13, because I turned 13 in September that year.
Okay.
Oh no, I probably was just turning 12 in September, and then I would have turned 13 in 2012.
Okay. But you were for sure 13 in 2012.
Yeah.
Okay. That makes sense. All right. And then at that time, was it mostly just kids? And when we say kids, like preteens, teenagers, was it mostly just kids working? What were the age ranges?
Yeah, it seemed like mostly kids my age, like teenagers, older a little bit, but not many adults. But yes, mostly kids, teenagers.
Okay. Do you remember if there were other adults when you first started working other than Russ and Carol?
I think Dino was already there when I
Okay.
first started.
Yeah, and I think Dino, when we interviewed him last week, he had mentioned that you worked with him for a year. So, and that was at the end of his.
And he was there since like 2007 or something like that. So,
yeah.
All right. Excellent. So what were your thoughts during that? I mean, we've shown in this Rise and Fall series, we've shown kind of the progression of little changes that happened even between like 2009 to 2012. 2012 definitely started to become more extreme, but what was your impression as a 13-year-old kid working there about the haunt in those days?
I was definitely very nervous to start at first, but my first impression was that the group seemed very close, seemed very fun. The tours themselves seemed genuinely scary, like it was, how a haunt should be. And I was a little intimidated because they all seemed really confident in themselves, probably theater kids, really good at that stuff naturally. I was still very shy, so it was a little intimidating, but it seemed really fun to get into. Like it was a good opportunity maybe for me to get out of my shell a little bit.
Okay. So when you first took on the role there, I have to ask, like, what did you do in the haunt? Like, did you have like a specific job in the haunt when you were in 2011, 2012?
Yeah, starting off, it was just small things. Like there was a little room that they would walk through with a wobbly floor, and we would put our hands through it and grab them. As I started kind of coming into my own as an actor, getting more confident, I had a little show, like a little place to be in. It was in a hollowed out dryer or washing machine, and I would fit myself in there. And when I would hear the people come in the room from the tour, I would pop out and go,
one of my favorite parts that we've watched, actually. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure we've seen that. And you know what, Boston? I do have some highlights of 2012. Do we kind of want to watch that and talk about it while we're in that era right now?
For sure. And Josh, afterwards, pipe in, man. Feel free to ask any questions.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Josh's like, I'm just here, yo.
I'm just
here to look pretty.
All right, let me make this full screen. And
will scare the shit out of people.
I tried to warn you, didn't I?
Yeah, I've never been such terrorized and like thrown around like a piece of paper.
It's a little quiet.
It's a little quiet. Well, then let's make it a little louder.
Okay.
So anybody that's been following the series, we've already kind of watched these clips. We're just going to be kind of looking at some highlights from 2012 here. Safety is always paramount at the manor.
Now it's a little loud.
Yep.
Can't make you happy.
Sorry.
Do you remember any of this being filmed?
Yeah, that's Lexi.
The actress in the coffin just there?
Yeah,
That was one of your okay. So at this time, again, it was all people like maybe some people you even went to school with.
Yeah.
Like okay. I was wondering that because I knew that for years it went from just like a guest in the coffin and then it was a guest plus an actor in the coffin for a few years.
Yeah, I think she played a Bloody Mary. That was a character she played.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, all right, I'm going to continue with the video. So I got a question about that. Like that looked like that hurt, right?
Yeah.
But it didn't look like a child was pulling that tape and ripping it off of his face. Is there other? Because you had just said it was Dino and Russ and Carol, right? That were the adults.
Yeah.
Was that Dino that did that?
I don't think Dino did that. There was one guy in a mask who looked like it might have been Dallas. That probably could have also been him.
Okay.
Okay.
Because Dallas started around the same time you started, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Roughly.
Shortly
How old was Dallas at that time? If it was like
23?
Probably about 23. Okay. All right. So, and the other thing to keep in mind too, as we're watching these clips back, Chris, is that there were also several older high school teenage boys that were there too.
No,
so they could look like young adults.
I just mean
that was a good catch.
That takes some force
Mm-hmm.
to tear that tape off. Like, I know that there's some teens out there, but I mean, that was a grown adult, and it looked like it took some force for that. So let's keep watching.
What is that?
Oh, the chainsaw.
That saw blade thing.
And that's our buddy Dino right there. So again, I'm seeing some adult actors. I want to see.
Sure though? Like, how can you tell when they have a mask on?
Well, I mean that's Dino, correct?
Yeah,
in the ski mask.
There, yeah.
Yeah. See, I can tell an adult when I see one, Boston.
Did he just say shish kebab?
Yeah.
One second.
Chainsaw room. Okay.
That's that cool, yeah. I mean, there was some pretty cool effects there, especially if you were already a horror fan at a young age.
Right.
That's Dino.
That's Dino.
Classic chainsaw.
Yeah.
I did that sometimes.
Okay. So, was it normal for them to do workouts in the backyard?
No, I think once you started getting like I think shortly after Dallas started, the more military stuff started.
Okay.
Like it wasn't I don't exactly remember when it was introduced, but it had something to do when we started getting more like Marines going through or something like that.
Okay, that makes sense.
Interesting. Yeah.
I find it interesting that in this video it's happening, and that's all that happens now.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's like they ran out of ideas.
Mm-hmm. That would be me. I'd be the one screaming the
So
entire time.
did you ever have to duct tape anybody?
No, I did not do the duct taping.
No.
That I'm pretty sure
Yeah, I
is
was gonna
Dallas.
ask that too.
I'm pretty sure that's Dallas in that picture.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So
Yeah, my next question was going to be, did everybody, like the teens included, have to do the duct taping of people, or like who usually had that job, do you know?
Yeah, I mean some of the teenagers did it, but I think mostly it was the adults doing that sort of stuff.
Okay.
That's my friend from school.
Who was
going through or
Going through. Her name is Ava.
Okay.
How about you? Why'd you come here? Answer me!
That was big this year. 2012, the duct tape and lots of the fake blood and the spitting in people's faces was really big this.
When we talked to Dino, he mentioned how around this year they started to introduce the pool, and said that there was several times that minors were the ones instructed to hold people's heads in the water. Did you ever have to take place, or did you witness that?
I witnessed it a couple times, especially with the adults encouraging the younger like boys. Like there were two boys my age who kind of were there, and they were definitely being pressured to do those sort of things.
And when you say pressured, who was the one doing the pressuring?
It was either Russ or Dallas, probably just saying like, get your head in there, get like push them down,
Yeah.
And once they did those things, obviously they would get a lot of praise, or if they decided to do those things, they would get a lot of praise from Russ or whoever pressured them to do it.
Makes sense. Yeah.
So like, there really was no line of like, kids did this stuff and the adults did this stuff. Like, Russ would really essentially peer pressure the younger kids to kind of take part in what the adults were doing too.
Yeah, there was no separation of like, oh, they're a kid, maybe they shouldn't be doing this. It's like we're all one unit and we all have to do it together, and all that stuff. So it wasn't it was definitely
Do you feel like these kids like felt like not these kids, the other actors your age, do you feel like they felt like pressured to like please Russ in a way, or do you feel like they were, I mean, what was kind of the mindset of the other kids when they were being pressured to do this stuff?
I think it was definitely to get praise because he'd always have food or whatever for us after the shows. Like if you were Russ's favorite, you were cool and you were the best actor, and like a normal kid social hierarchy. But once all kids started leaving, it kind of stayed the same.
Right. And I think also especially like at that age when you're impressionable as a preteen or a teenager, if you're going through something like this, which like not a lot of kids at 13 can say that on their resume they have years and years of experience of working at a haunted house, So when you start working at something like this, I think it's normal to trust the adult in charge, right? You're like the adults are supposed to be the ones telling you that's okay to do or isn't.
Exactly.
So, yeah, that makes sense. All right, we want to watch a little bit more of this?
Yeah, we got
before we move on. Okay.
It was amazing. By far the best thing I've ever been to in my life. It was so scary. Why did you do that to me? Oh my God.
What time did you get here this morning?
7:30 in the morning. And it
Did
was
you
worth it.
witness a
You were
lot
here
of
for 11
people
hours.
waiting that long
I'll
to
do it
get
again.
in?
Oh
Yeah,
Wow.
people waited a
Oh, so
long
crazy.
time.
That was way 50 times worse than Halloween Haunt at Knott's Berry Farm. That was the most real without dying you can get. It's pretty scary.
Can't even stand up.
And
I
she's
know.
scared shitless.
It's like, is he still bound or something? Because he's like hopping around. Are you ready? Reservations only, right? Because that's when it started. The reservations only started in 2013. So before we segue on to 2013, just a few more questions about that 2011, 2012 kind of time period. You had mentioned like that you guys got food and stuff afterwards. Like, what was the dynamic during that first year you started working there between all the child actors and Russ and Carol, as far as when the haunt wasn't necessarily going on?
It was kind of like they were the cool aunt and uncle in the family. Like they would let you get away with certain things. There's no rules. Snacks and food and junk food, all that you could imagine. So that was kind of the dynamic that was going on outside of the haunt.
Mm-hmm. Now, at the time, did your and I already know the answer to this, so I'm trying to think of a way to ask it. Did your parents and or guardian, they were aware, I'm assuming, that you were working at this haunted house? How did they feel about it?
Yeah, when I first started working there, I was raised by my grandpa, so he came with me to meet Russ and Carol, and it went well. They put on like a really good face. It seemed nice. So he was aware. He was pretty open to it. He never really understood my interest in the scary things, so I think he thought, I can get her out of the house to do those creepy things and like enjoy the spooky things, and I could watch my news. But I don't. Yeah, he didn't. Yeah, he was pretty open to it as well.
Mm-hmm. And then what would you say? And again, I know this can be difficult. You're an adult now, and it's looking back at your childhood memories. But what would you say the dynamic between Russ and Carol was as owners of this haunt, kind of the parent figures for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, when they were seen together, they acted like kind of normal, kind of like a normal couple. But then you could always tell when she got mad how they spoke to each other, or if he got mad how they spoke to each other, that there was like kind of something going on. Like she never seemed happy around him. Like she never really smiled around him.
I don't blame her.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So it was like, they put on some sort of show, but you can always see what's going on behind the curtains at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Was there any particular, we know by now that Russ obviously has some sort of severe obsessive compulsive disorder. Was there anything, as far as like the actors go and the people that were working at the haunt, that he was like really particular about, things that he'd make you do or say, for instance?
Yeah, there was a couple points where we had walkie-talkies, or even without the walkie-talkies, if anyone said the word boo in the tour, in the walkie-talkies, or if they were trying to like scare someone and say boo, he would get so upset. He was like, we're not a boo haunt. That word was like a trigger for him. He's like, we're not a boo haunt, and that doesn't scare people. And then cursing, he did not like cursing. He was very particular about nobody cussing or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Did he ever break that rule for himself? Because I'm seeing a lot of videos now where he's doing a lot of swearing.
Yeah, I feel like I heard a couple goddammits and, but not much. He tried, but he couldn't do it all the time.
I think I asked you this like before, when we spoke before. So what, like if someone were to break the rules or if Russ were to get angry with one of you guys, what was his form of like discipline to you guys? How did he speak to you like when he was angry?
There wasn't much discipline. It was just more so the fact he's mad at you is like a big deal. Like, if he liked you and you were his favorite, you were cool. But if he was mad at you for saying something, everyone else kind of was like, man, why the fuck did you do that? Or why would you say that? Or stuff like that. So it was, there wasn't really much of a discipline directly, but there was some sort of like social shaming thing going on.
As far as 2012 goes, I think that might be all of the questions one last question was age range. Were you at the time, was that age like 13 the cutoff, or were there kids younger than you working at that during those years?
I don't think there was anyone younger than me. I think they were all at my age or older, because I was younger and for my grade. I was on the younger scale.
Okay. What about Chris, Josh, 2012 questions before we move on to
No,
2013?
I'm ready to move into 2013 personally.
Okay.
Josh?
No, I'm good.
Yeah.
All right. So 2013, we refer to that as like the missing year. And the reason that I've started referring to it that way is because through all my research, and Chris was looking for it too, and Josh, we couldn't find any footage of the hunt actually being run in 2013. But we do know in 2012 that Russ announced multiple places. I think even made an announcement at Scare LA on panel, which we watched last week. But he's announcing new things. Reservations only. I believe it was 18 plus. It wasn't 21 plus, but reservations only, 18 plus. Only 2 people at a time. 2 to 3 hour tours. Extreme hunt. Year round. So this was a new announcement he had made. And then we looked everywhere for footage and couldn't find it. Can you fill us in on what happened during that year?
Yeah, so what happened during that year is, so as Russ was a DJ, he had a lot of connections. He would DJ at this one ranch. So I'm just gonna move my chair. Up in Lakeside, California. He would DJ there for a while, and I don't know how he got talking to the owner or how he talked the owner into this. But he spoke to the owner who owned this ranch in Lakeside about moving his haunt to her property because it was so vast at a ranch. So they agreed. They worked something out. So he started making plans. He started demolishing the haunt at his house and then moving it to the ranch in Lakeside. And that's kind of what happened all of 2013. It was him and the other actors taking it down, putting it back up. Just a lot of building. And then, eventually the city found out, didn't like it, either tried to charge him or threatened to sue them or whatever. So it didn't end up happening, and then they had to take everything down and move it back to his house. So that's what happened all that year.
Did you were around that year, obviously at school and whatnot, but did you ever go and help at the ranch with the build? Or
yeah, sometimes I would help them build these like massive panels. Sometimes I'd help around the ranch, like I forgot what we would do. I don't know, but we would help around the ranch sometimes. Like me and one of the other kids I worked with, we would carpool up there. And the ranch was cool. There was horses. But yeah, there was also a lot of work with the paneling. Just a lot of black panels, really.
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, because I think he really was excited to make it bigger and more of a solid structure rather than just kind of like the temporary stuff in the backyard. So he gets the announcement or gives you guys the word that this ain't happening at the ranch, right? And then goes to plan B. How does he explain plan B to you as one of the actors or the rest of the group?
I think he wanted to rebrand it completely again. He wanted to call it something different. I'm forgetting what it was. Maybe I I forgot what it was, but he wanted to call it a different name.
Hmm.
He wanted to like rebrand it, kind of. That was his plan when he returned.
Did he explain to you before you ever, and I'll be getting there next and asking what you did when the haunt became extreme. But did he ever explain to you, like, before your first show what it was gonna look like?
A little
There's-
bit.
Yeah.
A little bit, but not, he didn't go into too much detail. He was, he was just all about big words and big hand motions and stuff like
That sounds Russ like.
So
It's gonna be the biggest.
I got a question. So at this point, the home haunt is gone. The extreme haunt has been born. The other miners that are working there are now gone, or is there still some working there?
Yeah, there was only 2 other kid actors that worked at the same time I did, and then we all kind of left at the same time too.
Okay.
Right. All right.
Yeah,
Well, then
they
go.
helped with the building and stuff too.
Okay. Cool. So the first show happens. We're going to get to there. I kind of want to, before we dive into a video and watch that, I just kind of want to ask some more. You guys set back up at the San Diego home
In 2014. I just want to make sure we get
in
the year in there.
2014 now.
Yeah.
Is there rehearsals or anything that go on what's going to happen on these shows when people go through?
There's not many rehearsals. There was a couple, like, the like bigger actors, they would practice what they were gonna do. Russ would obviously walk them through it and be like, you're gonna take them here and then there and then do this to them and do that to them. That was, there was a little bit of rehearsal, and then we would go over a lot just to help with like building, and then from there he might talk about what his plans were or go over different routes or different characters he wanted, stuff like that.
And at this time, 2014, the private reservations shows are starting. It is still just child actors, like teen years. At this point, you're 14 years old.
Yeah,
Right.
at that point, I think 2014, I think most of the kids had left. There was some drama with a bunch of them. They left, and so at the kind of when the haunt came back from the ranch, it was just me, 2 other kids, and then the rest of them were older adults.
Adults, okay. And can you give us, like, those first few shows, give us some names of the adults? We know Russ was there, obviously.
Yeah, I don't think Dino was there.
Dino had left.
There was a couple people who had been there like briefly, so I think maybe what's his name? Spencer, a guy named Spencer was working there. Maybe Nick Baldwin at that point. I'm not sure if that's too early for him to come in.
Okay.
Dallas. I think Dino was gone at that point too.
So mostly young adults. Yeah, I think Dino was definitely gone at that point. So mostly young adults, and then you and 2 other minors.
Yeah.
Okay. What was your very first, and well, actually, let me ask it this way. How many shows did you actually attend? Were you there for during the Extreme 2014 season?
I was there for most of them, I would say. I wasn't as heavy as a actor participant, but I would definitely, follow them around. Listen to the walkie-talkies, set certain things up before they got to the room so that I would pop out, or like animatronic stuff like that. So I think I was there for most of them at that point.
Can you tell us, like, roughly how many that means?
Like early 2014?
Yeah. Was there like 2 shows? Like, how many shows were you at? Like 2, 4, 8, roughly?
Maybe 1 or 2 a night, so total, maybe 8.
Okay. I'm just trying to get an idea because we're going into the 2014 year this is
Yeah.
kind of the beginning of our 2014 year, and we're going to have a lot of tours that we're probably going to cover and watch, and it'd be nice to know which ones and I know it's hard to remember all of them. I'm sure some stick out more than most. So I'm going to let the guys ask their questions about what it was like, what a typical show was that you'd participate in.
Yeah, so you said you would usually walk ahead and set up things. Now, was that your primary job when it was in the extreme haunt?
Yeah, there was a bit of time when they transitioned from the, regular extreme haunt to the other extreme. So there was a time where I wasn't really acting. All the actors were like males. They were all older. So there was kind of a time where they didn't know what to do with me, but I didn't want to leave. I was having a good time. They were, it was fun for a little bit. And so instead of acting, I would either set up, or after we started doing a couple of shows, we realized people were getting hurt and they were getting injured. So my lifeguard certification at that time apparently qualified me to treat their injuries and their wounds and whatever various things happened. There was also a tarantula that he had that I took care of. I had to take care of it because that guy was terrified of spiders. So I took care of the tarantula. I named it Harry Potter because it was Harry Potter.
I remember that from Gabby's tour.
Yeah, and I was kind of the tarantula handler. So I put on gloves, I take the tarantula out, put them on people.
So was that your hands in Gabby's video?
It might have been, yeah, very possibly.
Wow.
But I typically never handled the spider with just my hands. I always had gloves on.
Right, yeah, the person did in the video. Now, I want to rewind a little bit because you said something.
Right. That's like a
major in there. You're 14, 15 years old.
Yeah.
And you were the medical staff?
That was me. Yeah, that was my job. That was my new position.
So,
which I'm sure you were very good at, not taking that away from it.
I took it seriously, but
you took it seriously, right? But that's
it was
young.
So you're a teenager. You're a young teenager. People are getting what's some of these injuries that you're seeing that young?
So at that point, as I was following them not to watch for injuries, I was seeing things like broken blood vessels in the eyes, like the eye fills up with blood. I've seen like broken noses. People have said they have broken ribs. I can't really see it, but you can tell when someone's in a lot of pain. There's a lot of hypothermia, like shaking uncontrollably, and a lot of like psychotic episodes, which no teenage lifeguard is going to be certified on how to deal with that sort of situation.
Psychotic, like they were pushed too far?
Like they were in psychosis. They were pushed to a place where they were no longer people. They were in flight or fight mode and just operating out of instinct.
When we talked on the phone, I believe you told me about a situation where there was maybe two participants going through together that did have a psychotic break, and what you tried to do, and then what rusted. Can you fill us in on that little story?
The parts that I could see, they were, terrified. They had been separated at a couple points. And when they were separated, the actors would tease one or the other. They would tell, oh, we've got, we're doing this and this and that to her. Like, she's never going to get out of here. Like, you're never going to see her again. And then they were doing the same thing to her. They were putting her in and stuff like that. So when they finally got brought together is when they both started just kind of losing it. So the other actors brought them together in a space and told me, hey, you need to talk to them. They're like, I don't know, you need to talk to them basically. So I tried talking to them and they're terrified. They are terrified. They're both terrified. They're in handcuffs still. They're in, like they've got duct tape all over them. And I'm just trying to tell them like, hey, my name's Mercedes. It's okay. You're going through a haunted house. It's not real. You're not going to get hurt. It's going to be over very soon. And you're going to be okay. And they would hardly listen to me. But I mean, it's hard to get through to someone going through that. Mm-hmm. But as I was as I felt like I was making some progress with them, the actors immediately, literally grabbed them and pulled them apart and then shoved them through the haunt again.
And
so
whose
that
whose
was
direction was that?
Russ. Yeah, he's like, this is taking too long. He said I was taking too long. And it's like, you can't take too long to break someone out of a psychotic episode.
But also, what 14-year-old with lifeguard training should be handling a psycho or even be exposed to somebody going through that? Like, that's what's...
Yeah.
Well, you said like broken noses. Like, what did you do in that situation?
Usually I wasn't allowed, like, if I tried to help someone who was going through the tour, I would usually get told to, like, go away, or I'd get shooed off because I was, getting in the way. So typically after, with a broken nose, we gave him ice and he went to the doctor after. Yeah, that's the best you could do for a broken nose because there's no cast for those sort of things. Just put some ice on it. And he got it looked at.
So I actually want to rewind a little bit, Chris, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Because there was a story that we missed out on that you did tell us about when we first spoke. So I'm just going to ask you, have you ever been through the haunt when it was extreme?
Yes. So I had worked there maybe for like a year or two before it became really extreme. And I'd never been asked to go through it at all. And then at one point, all the actors were sitting around, we're talking about how everyone's gone through the haunt and their tours. And then it comes around to me like, oh, so you've never been through it? And I was like, no. And so they're like, we should just do a tour right now, like a real quick tour. I was like, okay. So in their garage, I'm sat down and Russ has me sign this waiver as a minor, unaccompanied by an adult. I didn't have my guardian with me. He had no idea I was signing this contract. So
was Carol there, or was it just Russ?
Carol was there.
Okay.
Yeah, Carol was there, I'm pretty sure. And so so I signed the contract and then I start going through the tour. At first it's like all normal stuff. I'm not worried. I know all these people. I feel like I can trust them. So they do the whole, duct tape thing, boot camp thing, they're pushing you onto the ground, telling you to crawl and putting fake blood all over you. And it's like, this is stuff I've done for years. So it was fine to start off with. But then they take me into the backyard where the pool is. And at that point, they had put a metal cage into that kiddie pool. And I don't know where they got this cage, but they put a metal cage into the kiddie pool. So the cage, it was all like horizontal. So they put me in the cage on my back. I have the ski mask on. I have blackout goggles on, headphones, tape everywhere. And so they lay me on my back in this cage in the kiddie pool. And they zip tie my hands to the bars, like crossed. And so I'm on my back. I can't see, can't hear, can't do nothing. And it's at this point that they start dumping buckets of water on my face while I'm on my back. So they're essentially waterboarding me. And after the first time, I start to panic because it's like, I don't know when I'm going to be able to breathe. Mm-hmm. I don't know when to inhale. I don't know if I'm going to inhale, if it's going to go into my lungs and I'm going to die here. Like, I don't know. I started to panic at that point. But they continued after that. They cut off the zip ties. They pulled me back into the haunt. And right after that, they put me in this ice cream freezer that was full of black, nasty water and fake body parts that had all become mushy in the water. So they put me in that. I'm completely submerged, just like my chin, like this is above water. And so they keep telling me to like go underwater, and it's like, fine, I'll go underwater. I'll just close my eyes, hold my breath, whatever. So I go underwater. A couple times they shove me underwater. And then at one point, let's see, they closed the lid on me. And that was very, very small space to breathe. So I started panicking at this point. Like I started experiencing what other people had, going into the fight or flight mode. I was like, get me out of here. I was crying. I was like, please stop. Russ, while I was crying, like, please stop. Russ was in my face with a camera, like, say you want out, say you want out, say you want out.
He
And
was
I've heard
filming this.
he was filming every second of it, and I know he has it. And I forgot to mention last time, there's a YouTube video with a picture of me going through the tour. It's just a picture because he didn't post any videos of it, but it's a picture of me with, like, I had acrylic nails on. One of them was broken. I'll try to find it, but he labeled me a quitter through that tour. But after going back to it, so he's saying, say you want out, say you want out. I was like, I want out. And then at that point we ended and everything went, like, everyone started acting normally. It was normal. I don't know. It was so, yeah, it was very
And you
intense.
obviously had some kind of I'm just putting one and two together. You were 14, 15 max when this happened? Or were you 14?
So, like, if it was, like, it's 2024, I'm 25. So in, like, 2011, I would be 12. In 2012, I'd be 13. I think. I'm so bad at math. And, like,
I'm the same way. But you were obviously you were a minor. She may be the youngest. I mean, allegedly, we don't know all the other tours because clearly he's filmed every single tour and hasn't publicized a lot of them. But you may be the youngest person to go through the extreme version, right?
Yeah.
I'm sick to my stomach right now hearing that you're a child put in a cage while they're pouring water on your face. These are grown adults.
Zip tied. Yeah.
Zip tied. This is sick.
There's several grown men just standing there watching it all happen, and one of them's recording it.
Right. To your recollection, because it was you and two other minors were the only minors working at this time, were the other two minors there as well?
Yeah, I think they were, but they weren't doing anything. They were just watching. I think they felt very confused I mean, I have no clue how they felt, but they weren't doing anything to me.
Here's the thing, though. If a minor did something to you, that's null and void because the minor's doing what the adult is instructing them to do. You don't. At that age, you don't know. You don't have that better judgment. I mean, that's like, and no offense to you, you were 15 years old and you were literally the medical staff.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't have a good. If somebody had a heart attack or something there, that's on you. That weight is going to be on you for the rest of your life, and for them to put you into that place. That's terrible. Absolutely terrible.
And she trusted them. I mean, would you say, like, what kind of personal relationship did you have with Russ and Carol? Like, how would you categorize that at the time?
Russ, like, we had a fairly, like, decent relationship. Like, I think he, I looked up to him. He was funny. We joked. I wasn't, like, crazy terrifying actor that would do anything he said, but, like, we got along pretty well. And then Carol and I were very close. We had a pretty close relationship. We would have girl talks or whatever you want to call it. But Carol and I were really close. We would talk to each other, and we were just really close.
Well, and you didn't have you were raised by your grandfather, so you didn't have that female adult kind of in your life.
Yeah, she was definitely very motherly to me, and I looked at her like that.
Mm-hmm. Would you say that that's fair that a lot of the minor kids kind of had similar relationships with Russ and Carol? Like that they were, like you said before, like the cool aunt and uncle, but like maybe a parent figure someone needed?
Yeah, I think it was pretty common for the kids to have a more casual, funny relationship with Russ, and then to have a more kind of serious, like, one-on-one relationship with Carol.
Mm-hmm.
So, so Chris and Boston kind of asked some questions that I was trying to ask, but apparently I was having issues. So I just kind of want to run it back for a second to when you were talking about, some of the injuries and stuff that you had seen. Did you have any kind of like supplies to use to treat injuries at all? Like any kind of like a med kit or any kind of basic anything to use besides a ice pack to put on a broken nose?
I don't think so. Whatever we had was in their house. So they had a first aid kit in their house, but that was it. I didn't have anything with me. We didn't have anything like outside throughout the haunt, nothing like that.
I mean, to hear that shocks me. Part of me is wondering, is it that you became the medical staff because they really liked you? You had been there for the previous years. They didn't really know what to do with you when they needed the big burly men to start, torturing people essentially. So they were like, "Oh, you'll be med staff," like just to kind of give you a title. Or was it that maybe were they under pressure from the public that they needed some kind of medical supervision? Do you know? I mean,
If there was much, I wasn't aware, but I know that I think later on in the years, once a few tours had happened and people started getting upset about the injuries they were seeing online, I think that definitely had something to do with it.
So, and you said that when you would treat people, they essentially, or when you would start to care for people the best that you could, they would essentially just shoo you away before you could even finish what you were doing, right?
Yeah.
So it seemed kind of ridiculous to even have you as a med on site if they're not going to let you do what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, I'm gonna mute my camera for a second to put my phone on charge, but I will still talk.
Okay. All right, so I think this is a good point in time to dive into the Stephen Ryan tour, also known as the Mario Brothers. And if at any point in time anybody wants me to pause, let me know. We'll pause. We'll talk. Feel free to talk over the video at any point in time as well.
Fun fact, this is my first video of McKamey Manor I ever seen, I think.
Oh, wow. And I just want to I don't know. So we're going to be headed into the 2014 year in our series. Obviously, this is kind of one of those mixed up episodes because Mercedes was there from possibly 2011, definitely 2012 to 2014. So I just want to make it known that there probably was, well, let me ask Mercedes, as far as you remember, was this the first tour that happened in the extreme haunt?
I
or had
think
there been
so,
a few?
because I wasn't there. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure. I gotta see it, but sorry, Ryan and Lawrence. I think it probably was. I think the first one might have been like not as exciting as they thought. So when they had Ryan and Lawrence come in, it was a big deal. So if it wasn't the first, it was the second.
So I have a question. So Ryan Lawrence ends up becoming an actor. Was this one of the tours that was just set up to be someone going through so they could become an actor, or did they decide to become an actor like after they took this tour?
Yeah,
Do you know that?
After they took the tours when they started acting. So they took the tour first and then volunteered.
And then decided afterwards that they wanted to act. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, let's go. Policy changes.
Hey everybody, this is Russ from McKamey Manor. Okay, I've made a decision, and we're going to stick with it. The last time we talked, I told you that things were just too crazy and that we'd have to kind of tone things down.
He was always in a shirt, so you know if he's got a collar on,
but we're going to have to tone things down a lot more. We just
he thinks he is.
He's saying we have to tone things down because of this tour that he's about to show.
You may be upset with me, but trust me, I'm doing you a big favor. Last night, business as usual. We had two really
So do you think this was just a scare
great
tactic?
guys, both
Chris?
100%.
Okay. I was going to say, because the tours did not get toned down after Ryan and Steve started working there.
No. These are tough dudes.
I mean, that's like him always saying, forcing people into a baby tour.
Right.
20 minutes. So what's that telling me? We've got to slow things up.
Can you pause real quick?
Yeah.
So he just said that their tour lasted 20 minutes. Does that sound accurate, Mercedes?
No.
How long?
At least an hour. Most of the tours were very
At
long.
least an hour. So your
Okay, at least.
recollection
Yeah,
with
I would
these
say.
two.
Yeah, I would say an hour max and an hour at least. Like I don't
Okay.
think it was an 8-hour tour, but it wasn't as. I don't think it was short as 20 minutes, although things went wrong pretty quickly. But maybe
Okay.
within 30 minutes, 40 minutes, an hour.
Mm-hmm. That's good to know, because he often says that, like, you only made it 5 minutes, but
Yeah,
then
you did
shows,
nothing.
but then he shows the audience
Yeah.
40 minutes of footage.
He
and you're like,
posted
huh?
a picture of me going through that tour that they put me through, like a picture of
Yeah.
me going through it all messed up, and he called me a quitter.
Yeah. So I guess this is a good question to ask here. We with when what we were talking about, saying you haven't done anything yet, we see all this footage
Right.
of this pre-show stuff happening. Now, when this tour took place, that pre-stuff didn't happen, correct? It was just like, boom, you're in it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, but he still uses that verbiage, Chris. You hear him say,
I know.
Like, you didn't do anything, and it's yeah.
But I'm just saying, now people do stuff. Well, I mean, they're still doing stuff there. I get what you're saying, but what I'm saying is we don't have the boot camp. We don't have the games before.
Right.
So I'm sorry for all you folks out there who think you want this. You really don't. I mean, you really don't understand. Nothing you see on YouTube is going to prepare you for what actually takes place in here and just how extreme it really is. So I'm trying to help you out and us, because we want people to get through the silly thing. There's
Funny.
so many cool things back
I was going to say,
here
it's
that we
one of
have
the first
planned.
times I believe him. Not that he wanted people to get through, but that nothing's going to prepare you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably the only time Russ has ever told the truth.
Mm-hmm.
That nobody sees them because they're bailing.
No, I think he tells the truth every time he says you really don't want to do this.
Yesterday, they wanted out, but of course, you know the rules. I don't let them out unless there's something, medically or psychologically going.
Yeah,
Good question for Mercedes.
But do you want to ask it?
Yeah. Oh, I thought you were going to ask it. I was trying to read your brain. I was like, you paused it because you have a good question. So, again, forget 2012. We're talking just the 2014. These extreme haunt shows that you witnessed. There was no safe word. He brags about that all the time. Were there any situations where you saw like that people really wanted to end the show? They were asking to leave and they were held against their will?
Yeah, many times, like when I went through my tour and he was like, say you want out, say you want out. So many times they would say, I want out, or they would scream it. And that's, he would keep going. Like there was no respect for I want out. And there was many times people tried to, run or leave or fight, and they were just forced back into it.
So kidnapped, essentially.
Yeah, literally.
And did you ever? I think I asked you this before, but were there times in these when it got to this level that people, kind of blacked out or would go unconscious or something, and then when they come back to, would they be escorted out or be done, or would Russ just keep letting them go?
The only time I've known about that happening, they stopped after they lost consciousness, because there was also some other things, like emergency things going on. It was like serious.
Was that this show that we're about to watch?
Yes. Yep. So
Okay.
that was the only time where I'd seen them like end a show because of medical reasons, but I hadn't really seen anyone lose consciousness. I think most people going through that kind of thing, the adrenaline kicks in and they're all about like staying up and trying to figure out how to get out of there.
Yeah.
All right, let's start.
The case. We had to. And it was kind of scary, to be honest. And again, you're going to see the video. At least you'll see a little of it here and there. Can't show you everything.
He's like totally glorifying this traumatic.
So we're going to take it back to how it was a couple of years ago. It's still going to be fun. It's still going to be edgy. But
he's just full of shit.
this
He didn't do
experiment
that.
of mine just did not work.
Experiment
I thought
of
people
mine.
would be
He would
able
never
to
admit that. He doesn't
get
believe
through,
himself.
but they can't.
Yeah,
And
so
again,
what?
these
It's like,
aren't
why is he
just
saying that here? Because he wants people to know
wimps.
this
We're
was an
talking, these are,
experiment.
you
And
know,
it
what
just
you
went too
consider
far.
manly
Yeah.
men. You
People
know,
are
these
getting
are some
angry at
tough
him.
dudes,
This is
Mhm.
probably him trying to cover his ass.
and it just
Mhm.
isn't happening. So
Yeah,
I had no
and
choice.
if he
so I apologize.
he apologizes and isn't
That's
going to
just
do
has-
it as
has to be
much,
this
but
way
he's going to show this
because,
video.
You know, again,
Right,
I want
right.
everybody
It's just a
to
weird
have a good fun time here,
paradox.
and it's not fun for
I want
them
everyone
if
to
they're
have a
just
good fun time here.
going
Did you have
out
fun
of
when
their
you went there,
mind
Mercedes?
to the point of
It
where
was
they
not the
can't even
funnest
finish.
thing I've ever
After
experienced.
it's
No,
all
I've
said
had a
and
lot
done,
more fun than that.
they may look back on it like that was pretty challenging, and I'm sure it was. But you know, come on, you come here because you want to get through the thing and see all the sets and props and have the experience. But if you only can handle
I have a
20
question about the
minutes,
sets
2
and
hours,
props.
3 hours, and no one's come close
Because
to the
everything
actual
was ripped down
full
to go to the ranch,
7 to 8 hours,
and then the ranch had to be ripped down and then went back.
So that's it. End of story.
Was the haunted house
Doing things
rebuilt at the same kind of level that it was
fans,
like in 2012 and 2011, or was it like a
it's still gonna be
downgraded version?
It was pretty much the same. It was just a little bit changed. Like the directions of everything
Okay.
were changed, the rooms were changed. I don't think he brought any of his big electronics to the
I was
ranch
gonna say, you don't really see in these tours, at least what he shows us, you don't really see like a lot of the cool animatronics and stuff.
a lot of them, yeah, he put in his garage for the move to the ranch, and he didn't end up moving them to the ranch, and then he didn't end up putting them back in his haunt, so they just stayed in his garage.
Okay. Thank you. All right. This is the story of Ryan L. and Steve P.
If you have been following along in the Facebook group McKamey Manor Road Trip, you will see those two names quite often in the screenshots that we've been sharing from the closed actors group.
Because they do become actors after this tour. So this was October 10th, 2014.
Hearts racing. Dressed as Mario and Luigi, waiting to get kidnapped. Yep. And tortured for the next 4.5.
So that's a new thing,
So,
right? They didn't do that in 2012.
Yeah, he wanted to start using his van as a, I don't know why. He just had this idea to sort of kidnap people by having them meet him at the park nearby, shoving them in his van in an next to an elementary school, and then driving them to his house. He would just circle around the block and make them think like they're being driven somewhere else.
He would
where
do
he would
this
park
next to an elementary school?
Oh, yeah.
the same one I went
Fake
to.
abduct people? What?
Yeah, so I'm surprised. I don't know if anything happened, but yeah, that was his idea.
Yeah, it's in the screenshots in the closed group where they actually talk about meeting at the elementary school to abduct these people. So I got a question for you so that the viewers at home can kind of put some faces to the names. Who is Mario and who is Luigi?
Yes.
All right, so Mario looks like Steve. Because they're both brothers. They both look very similar. But Mario kind of looks like Steve L, and then Luigi looks like Ryan. Am I right?
Yep. I believe you're right. But this is not the best image of them, but I believe you're right.
Sit by to all the people I love. We have fans back there.
Yeah.
They recognize me. They think we're here to fix their plumbing. But yeah, I don't know, a lot of thoughts going through.
All right, so we had to do a quick cut. You may see some new camera angles and whatnot, but we are back and we have just started to watch the video, The Manor Wins Again. This is Ryan and Steve's tour. So let's dive right back in.
Know what to expect. It's going to be terrifying. My heart's racing already. I can't breathe right now. Steve can't breathe.
Which I think is hilarious.
We just say Jack in the Box, and we're probably going to puke everywhere. Yeah.
We also have to keep in mind that these people probably didn't really
Wish us
have a
luck.
lot of footage
Checking in, everybody. If we
to
don't
look
talk to you
at
again,
before
we
they
love you
went.
all. Mwah.
No.
Other than the
See ya.
2012 year,
Hopefully,
you know?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
20
So
minutes in.
hold on.
The men are already
So
chewed them up.
he starts this video, says, "I can't show you much." They only lasted 20 minutes. We see their intro, and then it's like 20 minutes later.
I know, it does. The math
So we
doesn't
just
math.
skipped the whole tour?
The math doesn't math. Yeah.
I want to quit! I want to quit! I want to quit! I can't.
Relax.
What is this?
You know what? You got 5
This is
hours
hard
to
to
go.
see.
You're taking a
He's in the
sissy tour.
pool.
Say
He's in the cage in the pool that I was in.
I was just gonna ask.
He's
I was
like,
like,
he's
there's
on
a
his
reason
back.
he makes it hard to see. Okay.
Yeah.
So show us what he's on his back like this, and is he zip tied?
Yeah, so typically the hands would be zip tied to those metal bars that you can kind of see in that video.
Okay.
Okay, so you're
So he's definitely in the cage and the cage is closed. So he's got a little bit of room to breathe.
and water's just submerging.
He's on his back in a kiddie pool, yeah. So it's a good amount of water.
Tell everybody I got the sissy tour. Tell them, Steve.
I got the sissy tour.
Louder, louder. Louder.
Throw it up.
I don't
I
care.
got the sissy tour.
Throw up. I don't care.
I got the sissy tour. I want to
the-
quit.
The throw up,
wanna
I would
quit.
assume, is from ingesting
Guess
too
what,
much
Steve?
water.
We've just begun. You're fine.
So is this clean water in this pool? Do they refill it after every use?
No, sometimes when it gets like really gross, they'll refill it, but that's like when we start seeing leaves and bugs in it. So they refilled it with hose water. So it wasn't all the time.
Okay.
Yeah,
Now
it's nasty.
where are you at this point?
At this point, I might be standing around watching this going on. It might be like in the background.
What goes
I don't-
on in your 15-year-old head when you're noticing this stuff?
Yeah, I was just about to ask that.
There's not much that goes on. Like part of it I can see is wrong and I can see is terrible. And then the other part is like, I've known these people for years. They're adults. They would never like put real people in a situation where they're in actual danger. They would never actually hurt these people.
Mhm.
So it's my mind sort of hits a wall when I'm watching these things. It's like, can I help? Like, are these guys actually going to get hurt? If I try to help, are they going to get mad at me? Or
Like, oh, if I try to help, are they going to think I'm assuming something bad's being done?
yeah, or are they just going to tell me to go away again, like which happened before when I tried to help?
Wow.
And you said that you had been through this exact thing before, right? What they're going
Yeah.
through now.
I was in
So-
the exact position he's in.
And how did it feel watching that? I mean, did it really like trigger anything that you had went through, or did it make you feel uncomfortable? Like,
Yeah, I just feel bad for him because as much as people like who don't know me on the internet have painted me to be like some crazy person because I worked there. It's like when I was a child. And two, I had a lot of empathy for people. And that's why I wanted to be like the medical person. So I just feel bad for him. I wish he had never gone.
And
through
we've
this.
talked to and we've talked to several people, and I can't name all the names at this point. You guys know we've talked to Dina, we talked to Brendan, we've talked to a few people from McKamey Manor's past, and everyone that we have talked to, well, for the most part, most people we've talked to have said you were very shy, reserved, sweet girl. We even talked to one of the actors who came on like right when you left and said, this person said, I was just surprised to see her there. It seemed out of place. Because there's like these brutal things going on and then this kind of sweet, quiet girl to the side watching it all happen. The other thing is that your mind, as like you saw this kind of progression of like extreme simulated scare, like the scares when in 2012, and then it became more physical with the duct tape and stuff. You saw that progression, and then it became like that on steroids. And
Yeah.
So your mind's trying to balance like, well, I should trust these adults. They know what they're doing. / this is a little much.
Yeah, I was like, there's no way, like, this is illegal. Like, there's no way they're going to be doing something like this out in the open. if it's so wrong, because nobody seemed bothered by it, at least not from the actor's standpoint.
And
So
was it you or somebody else? Somebody we talked to said something about people would jump on this cage.
Maybe, yeah.
Do you remember that?
I don't remember specifically people jumping on the cage, but that is not out of the realm of possibility.
Okay.
So
Josh,
did your perception of Russ or any friends that you may have had at the haunt change after your tour, I guess you would say? I mean, and like when you're watching these people go through it, I know you said that you felt for them, but I mean, did your perception of who you thought were your friends and feeling safe with Russ and them and the adults change after your tour at all?
No, I just went right back to treating them like my friends, like my buddies,
Well, you had thought they all had to go through it to work there, so
yeah.
It was essentially hazing is what it was.
Yeah.
All right, let's continue because this is kind of a long video.
You're not going anywhere. Nowhere. You understand me? No.
So we already have quitting.
You're not going anywhere. You
and
can
being held
quit.
against
Get
will.
him out of here. Get him out of here now.
So
to Mother's Place.
20
I
minutes.
think that's the food.
Yeah. 20 minutes in, they were supposed to quit, he said. That was where we were at. So now this is already longer than what
I think back then, since he didn't let people quit, he says, oh, they only lasted 20 minutes because that's when I quit first was said.
You're done. You guys are fucking freaking me out. Sorry, sir. It's because you're useless.
So that is Ryan
Pussy bitches.
Yeah.
in the green and the red is Steve.
I want to shoot you. What is this language? I'm sorry.
Hold it in. I'm tired of you throwing up in my room. You understand? Get your arms up higher. This
Oh,
is
yeah,
nothing. Aren't you glad you came in, Steve? Get your head. I'm talking to you, Steve. Aren't you glad you're here, Steve? Aren't you glad it's only gone 4.5 hours? Aren't you glad? Aren't
Were
glad,
you
Ryan?
in the room when this happened?
Yes, sir.
I was outside of the room, peeking in while this was going on.
I would have been outside too because this is probably some we can fast forward.
Yeah, no,
from my memory, a lot of it is just them throwing up on each other. I guess we do have to watch the throw up. That was my fault.
That was Mother spitting on him.
90 minutes into the show. Okay, so now we know it was more than an hour. The end was near.
Okay, give some more water. Let me relax. You're okay. We're okay right now. Okay.
You all right?
Tell us what's going on, Steve. Tell us what's happening.
Nobody should fucking do this.
Yeah.
Nobody should do this. I just died. I just died, dude.
Died. I want to pause it. Yeah.
Do we want to talk about what is he talking about? There's no way he just died because he's talking. So what happened? You were there. What did you experience to lead up to this?
So what I remember happening leading up to this is I was sort of, running, kind of going around, going back and forth, peeking at what they were doing or trying to set things up. So I was kind of following them around. And then at one point I started hearing them over the radio going oh, something's happened. So, and it was in this room with a ice freezer. I think he's in that room. So I go over there, and then the second I peek my head in, I got shoved out. I got told to go away. And so I leave, I go outside, and then all the walkie-talkies are off, whatever. And then after everything's okay, so this all goes on and I'm outside, I have no clue what's going on. They don't want me anywhere near there. So after this happens, then I kind of get told what happened. They bring Ryan and Steve out. That's when I see one of them had a burst blood vessel in their eye. So it was all kind of right after
pause
this.
here because once we get to that part where we see you come in, I want to make sure you are explaining in real time what we're watching.
Okay.
But as far as you know, because you didn't witness what happened, you believe that he was in that ice freezer room.
Yeah, I tried to go in there. They were all crowded around him, and then I got pushed out.
So when you say they all, to your memory, who were the main people giving them the show? We have Russ obviously filming everything.
I think it was Russ and Dallas.
Russ and Dallas. Did you ever see Russ put his hands on anybody, or was he strictly filming?
I mean, he put his hands on him, like to push him, like, come on, like get over here. But I didn't see him do much rough stuff.
So it was mostly just Dallas?
Yeah.
With these two guys?
Yeah.
Getting them to this point?
Yes. At this point, we also had a film director with us. He was filming for the Haunters movie.
Haunters. So John Schnitzer was there as well during this tour.
He saw all of this. He saw and he filmed every single minute of all this. John was there, Dallas was there, Russ was there.
And then you kind of in the background.
Yeah.
And then where's Carol when all this stuff goes on? Is she just chilling in the house?
I think she's in the house, yeah.
Okay. Is that typical?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Are you okay?
I don't know.
Take his jacket off. Take his jacket off. Take his jacket.
I mean, I'm fine like this.
Are you sure you're okay? Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, just relax.
I don't know what just fucking happened.
Okay, I don't know who that was. Okay, I don't know who that was. We're gonna. I'll be okay. Look at me. Talk to me. Talk to me.
You better, right?
Talk to me.
Oh, let's get that head.
What's he saying? I don't know who that was.
I don't know. It almost sounds like he's trying to say, I don't know who did that to you.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
What's on the side of his face? Is that like a tattoo? Or?
I think that's a tattoo. It looks like a tattoo.
Like a white ink tattoo.
One of the white ink ones.
Oh. All right.
Head up. Did you kind of lose your mind for a moment?
Yeah.
Yeah. Why?
I don't know.
Why?
Did you expect all this?
I thought I was dead. I thought it was I. Really thought I was fucking with somebody.
You don't like cussing, Steve.
Don't cuss.
I apologize.
Don't cuss, because he'll come back. He'll come back. The man will come back.
He doesn't like cussing.
Oh, that's Deshaun. That's
So Deshaun was there. So Deshaun is a child actor as well, right? Or no?
Yes. Yeah, he was.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you were, let's go, if we're being generous, we'll go with 15 at the time. Yeah. How old was Deshaun roughly?
15 or 16.
So around the same age?
Yeah, we went to the same school.
Okay, because I just want people to realize that this tour, what we're watching, there is a grown man in this state of panic, bleeding. That doesn't look like fake blood there. He's in this state of panic, and we've got high school kids there.
Yeah.
All right, let's continue.
Okay, I want you guys to relax. So we have so much more fun to go.
Anything but the some more water, Steve.
Okay. Take some more water.
So giving water and stuff, making sure they're okay, but still in character.
I want you guys to finish a little bit, okay?
Anything but, man.
Okay.
Like,
you can still kind of hear
serious.
the
I
character.
can't
We
do
don't
that
like
again, man. I'll die.
cussing,
I swear to
Steve, stuff like
I'm
that.
sorry.
Like they'll never
Is it
stop.
Like it should just be
Yeah,
stopped
I can't.
serious.
I could keep going as long as I don't have. Man.
Okay.
So he wants
I
to
want
keep
you to
going.
remember those words. You just said you can keep going as long as you don't do
Well,
that.
I don't know, man. Like,
No, you just told me that. You just told me that. So guess what? Guess what? We've got some things lined up for you that's a
Wiggle
lot
that
worse
arm.
than what
Get
you
the
had
blood
before.
circulation.
Did he just say you broke my arm?
You know
Get
what?
it going.
Get that.
Oh, he said I can't feel my
I
arm.
don't know, Russ.
You can do this. You can, Ryan. You can do this, man. I know you're tough, man. You can do this, man. You can't quit on me, okay? Don't quit yet. I got some things I want to show you.
Quit.
Ryan,
I'm not
Get your
going
head
to
up.
quit.
I'm sorry.
He won't let me.
Okay.
Get your head up.
You know you can't quit, right? We're feeding you like a couple little babies right now.
Yeah.
But we need to, don't we?
No one
Yes.
ever gets
I'm
this.
sorry.
It's okay. Is this rougher than you thought?
Yes.
Tell the people right now. Tell they're watching. Tell Vegas right now.
This was entirely.
Look at me.
Look
at
at
Vegas.
entirely more.
So one thing before we get into Vegas, I truly believe that's all fake blood.
On his face?
Mm-hmm. On both
from
of
the
them.
other right here, it looks like a
I
cut.
think it's from when they were at the mother's kitchen and
Oh,
stuff was
okay.
being flung in that at them. So I just want to throw that
Okay.
out there.
Mhm.
So Vegas, though, how much did you hear about that, and what were your thoughts when people would talk about Vegas?
I heard almost everything Russ said about Vegas and the plan for it and everything. He was like, yeah, we're going to tell people that we have this ring in Vegas of millionaires who are going to pay to watch you go through the hunt. And if you lose, like you lose money, I don't know. It was some sort of secret Vegas betting ring.
What was
But
the
from
big
the
movie in
beginning-
2013?
Haunters, Art of the Scare.
No.
No.
I'm making a joke. I'm saying like he clearly
sorry.
watched some sort of like
Yeah.
So
movie and
that is a premise in a movie. I believe
Yeah.
it's later
Oh,
than
yeah.
2014 though, but Hostel 3, that's what Hostel 3 is about. I can't remember if it came out that year or if that came out much later and Hostel 3 stole Russ's idea.
Possible. There's more than just Hostel though, because I know I've seen like a TV show where
I think
it's like
it's
Vegas
Bundy
is
Manor
betting
is
on...
another one.
Oh, Bundy Manor's
that's
a new one,
new.
and that's a great one.
Yeah,
I need to
hashtag
watch
Bundy Manor, free on Tubi. Tubi, definitely watch it. We actually, Alex Watson, the director and creator of that movie, is in our Facebook group.
Yeah, I think I've talked to them a couple of times.
Super nice.
And we have a interview on this channel with him.
Oh yeah, we do. Okay.
And hey, I might be playing devil's advocate here, but I just kind of want to say something before we go forwards, and I might get roasted alive for this, but it is what it is.
Okay.
So, you know, even if it is real blood or fake blood, you know, this is, I don't know. I don't know if this was labeled. It was labeled an extreme haunt at this point, right?
Yeah.
Like,
yes,
advertised as that.
These videos started coming out. The real extreme haunt started rejecting what they were doing.
Right, because Russ called it that, but all they would have seen footage-wise is the 2012 year, which the 2012 was pretty extreme, but we still had like kids going through, and it was more like of a fun, like a walkthrough type experience, you know?
Right.
Okay. Well, it's just like, you know, like I guess it's different now because of what we know about extreme haunts. It's bigger now. I guess this was really more of an experiment at the time. But my thing is, if I'm going to an extreme haunt, I'm going to expect to bleed a little bit or get a couple of little wounds or, you know, like
superficial.
Now, some of this other stuff, like where your face is swollen up or you just look disfigured or, you know, broken bones and stuff, that's different. But, you know, like
Which
the
is
little
what
cut
we
on his
see.
nose, he could have easily done that himself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just flailing around.
It wasn't meant to be a big deal. I was just pointing out, like, this guy looks wrecked.
Right.
Like,
well,
mentally and clearly was physically jostled around, and his eye does look a little swollen. I'm just saying, like, the guy's obviously not in good shape.
Yeah, my biggest issue with this specific video is just all the throwing up and just the clear mental instability going on is where it should have been cut. You know what I mean? That's my biggest beef with what these guys went through so far. But I just wanted to, I don't know. I feel like a lot of people do, well, not a lot of people, but I know that there's a certain corner of the interwebs that feel like, you know, people shouldn't bleed or shouldn't do things like that. But if it's told to you up front, you're going to expect these things, you know?
Yeah, of course. But consent, right? I mean, I've seen plenty of pictures of plenty of my friends going to various extreme haunts where they've got superficial cuts and bruises and nothing severe. Like, that's totally natural and normal to get, but like, it's the consent. Which is obviously not here. So let's continue.
More than I thought it was gonna be.
Glad you came.
No. Yes. No. No. Yes, but no.
Are you
I don't know. My fucking mind is. I mean, my darn mind.
Quit cut. Why you keep cussing? Do I need to bring back the man again?
Mercedes, were the headphone things a new thing in 2014?
No, they've used them before.
Really?
They were just like for oh, maybe it was. It was newish, but I think they had started maybe in like.
Do you recommend other people to come here?
I think you're right. Maybe 2014 is when they started all that.
Is there anything
I don't think I saw them in 2012.
that can prepare you for this?
No.
There's more blood and duct tape in 2012.
Nothing to prepare you for this.
So tell them to stay away. I try to tell them, don't I? I try to tell you, didn't I?
You did. I should have listened to you. I'm sorry.
I feel like Russ also uses that as like a liability
But you
thing.
wouldn't listen to me, would you?
No.
Because at this point he's afraid of getting in trouble, so he's like, so I'm just gonna keep reminding
So I'm gonna give you a
like
couple more
police
minutes to collect your
officer or
thoughts.
whoever, like I told them not to come. I warned him.
And I hope we don't have to hit.
I can't do that, sir.
I hope you don't. I hope we don't.
I cannot do that.
Hold up.
I hope.
Why did it mute?
Nothing can prepare you for this.
So So tell him to stay away. I try to tell him, don't I? I tried to tell you, didn't I?
You did. I should have listened to you. I'm sorry.
I said, don't come here. You don't want to do this, right?
You're right.
But you wouldn't listen to me, would you?
No.
And now you're paying for it. So I'm going to give you a couple more minutes to collect your thoughts. And then it's going to be time to carry on. And I hope we don't have to hit.
I can't do that, sir.
I hope
we don't have to
do that.
Hit.
And then it's
I hope you're right.
hit something.
Yeah.
And he's saying I cannot do
Steve.
that.
Steve, look at me. Look at me, Steve.
Look at him, Steve.
Look at me.
Oh.
Look at me.
Come on.
Look,
Meanwhile,
you're tough. You are tough, aren't you? Aren't you?
Yeah, trigger warning.
Aren't you?
Lots of snot.
Okay.
Can you go?
So this is
Give
a
Steve
lot
a
of
round of applause.
convincing
Give
because
him a round
I've
of
also
applause.
had other actors, adult actors, Mercedes, by the way, say things like, sorry.
This is going to probably go on to what you're saying, but they're given a round of applause because they didn't quit.
Right.
They're building that mindset that
Keep
getting
going.
them to be one of them, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I've had we've talked to some adult actors. This not Dino. Dino wasn't around for these years, but we've had people say like, well, yeah, if people wanted to quit, like they weren't forced to stay there. But sometimes Russ would encourage them to keep going. To me, when you're already in kind of like a mentally broken down state and you have somebody over and over and over and over and over and over saying, you got this, you can keep going. Come on, you don't want to quit. You don't want to quit. Come on, you're tough. You got this. Like, eventually you just cave. And you also know I've asked to quit so many times, they're not letting me leave. So you're not in that mindset that they're going to let you leave. It kind of becomes a reverse hostage situation where you think if I do what they're telling me to do, then I'll be able to go.
Yeah.
Right.
All right.
And then, you have a camera shoved in your face that is going to be posted all over the internet.
You don't want to look like a wuss. Yeah.
I want to hear, gentlemen. That's what I want to hear.
Oh, come on with that snot.
We've got a panic attack. Here's the freezer you're talking about.
Go home.
Mercedes, he's in the
Yeah.
freezer.
I don't know why I'm hearing anything.
No,
It would be that too.
As a matter of fact.
I want to remind
So you don't want to see the other
people
locations?
watching this at home, these
wanna see
two
what I have
went
for
to
you?
become the actors,
Your body's had enough.
right?
When-
So you're
when-
watching
right,
this and seeing what they're going through.
More.
They decide to do this to other
More.
people after.
Cry.
Mm-hmm.
You better cry.
You better cry. Cry.
Can't do anymore. Don't give it an order.
That's where they put me through that exact thing with the wall.
That exact thing. Is this
That's where I
hard for you
started
to
to
watch?
cry.
Here's crying. Real.
No, it's okay.
Okay.
It's I don't know, it's good to identify it at least so people know what I'm
Yeah.
talking about because it's hard to explain certain things.
Yeah, and we did, just for the audience watching, we did tell Mercedes what we were going to be showing tonight, what she was going to be looking at. So we would never try to bring that trauma back to you without your consent,
Of course.
Can we talk about this real quick?
Now we're at 2.5 hours into the short tour, which Russ already told everybody
was
at
only
Scare LA
20
it's
minutes.
a 2-hour tour. And then
But-
he's like, well, maybe a 3.
But no, at the beginning of this video,
I
he
know.
literally said it was over in 20 minutes. We're now at 2.5 hours.
What he meant was they said I quit at 20 minutes. But the way he presents it is like, they only lasted 20 minutes. It's that weird mindset. And you see in the actors' Facebook group, too, it gets into the actors' heads, too. They'll start being like, he only lasted 10 minutes.
What's the problem? Get him out then. Get him out. Get him out. Help me.
Here's the part, Mercedes.
Yeah, that's me. For a second there, that's me.
Oh my God. Oh my God. I need to know my brother's okay. Okay. I need to know my brother's okay. Get him out. Get him out. Hold on. Get him out.
That was that moment
Get him
you
out.
just described to us.
You're right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Get up.
He's okay. He's okay. He's okay.
He's all right.
Okay. Come on out. Come on out.
So
Take
is
him
this
outside. Take him
before the
outside.
part that we saw when he
You're
said
okay.
they're
You're
saying I
okay.
died?
You're coming outside with me.
You're all
I
right.
think
Help him out. Take him
It's
outside.
possibly the way he edited it,
Leave him
maybe.
a little bit outside. Come on. You're fine. You're fine.
this is right after, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is when they took them outside.
I think there was
He's
2
fine,
times
he's
that he
fine.
felt like he
Take him
died.
out of
The second
take him out of
time
the-
something serious actually happened to him
He's fine.
is the way I
Okay.
would
His jacket
view it.
You know. Hey, no. What you're awesome. Take him out. Take his jacket off. Take his jacket off. Take him out. We're gonna get some fresh air.
Watch out.
Fresh air. Go back over there. Go back over there.
Everyone's clearly in
Unless you want this, I
shit
don't know.
mode right now.
So he just said, go back over there, and I thought I heard your voice. Is he talking to you?
Yes. Yep. He told me to go away. I think you can hear. Yeah, you hear my voice a second.
I'm going to turn up the volume.
I think I said, please tell me. Because I wanted to know what was
So, trigger warning, the volume is up.
He's all right.
Okay, come on out. Take him outside.
Come on. What happened?
You're okay. You're
okay, Steve.
You're coming outside with me.
All right.
Help him out. Take him outside.
Come on.
Lay on the ground a little bit outside. Come on. You're fine. It's over for you.
Taking something?
No, you're good.
No.
He's fine. Take him out of the. He's fine.
Get him.
Okay.
Take his jacket off.
You know.
Hey, no, what's your?
You're awesome. Take him out. Take his jacket off. Take his jacket off. Take him out. We're gonna get some fresh air.
Watch out.
Fresh air. Go back over there.
Let me
Unless
help
you want
him.
this, I don't know.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, be careful now. Whatever you want. Okay, come on. Take us.
Clearly a 15-year-old girl thinking I'm gonna watch this guy die, and nobody cares.
All I wanted to do was help that
Yeah,
guy.
let me
It breaks
help
my
him.
heart to hear my voice say
Yeah, give him
that.
water. Yep, car. Right. Taking them both out. You got them both out.
That's Deshaun helping him down to
Okay,
the
lay him
ground
down. He's right. He's fine.
or doing
Lay him down.
whatever.
He's fine.
They're both
That's
still in
Dallas.
straitjackets.
You're all right.
That's
You're all right.
Dallas.
You're okay.
Okay.
Get some water. Everything's good. It's all over now. It's all over. You're done. Man. You're done. We're not going to go on any further.
That's Deshaun on the
We're
right.
good.
Who's like knelt down.
Yeah.
You're good, buddy.
Can you recite the ABCs?
Okay,
for
you're
us?
good, man. Take it off. Sit down.
There you go.
Everybody sit
Take
down.
those arms.
Everybody sit down. He's fine.
You okay?
Yeah, good.
Okay, take it off. He's fine.
You all right?
Yeah, take his hood off. Both hoods off.
Hey, Steve, can you tell me where you are right now?
He's okay.
Is that your voice?
I don't
Yeah, that's me asking.
You know where you're at. What's it called?
Russ.
Yeah, you got it.
What's my hand on him?
What's the name of the hunt?
Carol somewhere.
Yep. What's the name of the hunt?
What's the name of the hunt?
McKamey Manor.
You got it. Give him a round of applause. All right. You guys get close together.
So it looks like there was
You
a
must-
lot
you
more
must-
people
you
than
must-
just
you
Russ
must-
and Dallas as far as actors go.
Yeah, I'm trying to think.
Oh,
We
you're
have
good.
John,
Kind of seems like
Deshaun.
I don't know what's going on.
maybe Nick Baldwin's here.
You're all right.
You're good. Hey, listen, man. You're all right.
Same thing with maybe the actor at the time. His name is Spencer.
That is right. That's reality juice right there. That's some Gatorade right there.
I don't know what's going on. I don't know.
You know what, Steve?
What's going on right now?
Okay, Steve. Steve, listen to me.
Yeah.
We're at the haunted house, right? It's Friday, and hey, you check some too.
Slower, Steve.
We're at the haunted house, and you guys did really
Yeah,
good.
you don't want people who
You
are
guys
going
did
into
really
shock
good.
chugging.
No, you did. No, you're
Really
good.
not
You did
drinking
good.
anything.
I have never seen a fucking scary movie in my life,
Yeah.
and I will
farther than other people.
I will be
Oh
damned.
yeah.
Honestly, man,
I will
like
be damned. You guys don't want to come here. You guys don't want to fuck. Sorry,
That's
you
okay.
guys don't want to come here.
Yeah.
I just lost all sense of reality right now.
Why is that scary here?
Like I just lost all sense of reality. I don't know where I'm at.
What you do now, though?
I do now. Kind of.
You do.
Where are you, Steve?
Mm,
You know you're at McKamey Manor.
yeah. Yes.
You know
Yeah.
you just went through the
Yes.
line.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
And like,
yeah.
you guys are good. you guys are too good. Where'd you find these people, dude? Where did you guys come from?
They find us.
Deepest pit
They
ever.
find
You
us.
guys are fucking insane.
They find us. Here's a couple of them over here. Here's a couple of them.
That might have
This
been
is good.
Spencer.
There's
So
no.
Deshaun and Spencer possibly.
Yeah.
I wish you could have saw some of the other surprises. We got a lot more in store for you guys.
See, at the end,
But-
everyone's best friends. They're shaking hands,
Right.
even though the worst just happened to them.
Mhm.
I wish I could have shown you guys how much more we had, he says to him.
Right. As if they barely did anything.
I guess they didn't. Yeah.
Man,
I'm confused.
It's
I'm
a
always
dude's
confused.
backyard.
What are you
Like,
confused about, Steve?
everything.
Look up.
This. What?
Like, he's joking around.
Russ, what days?
Russ, I'm always
You're
confused.
such
What
an
are you
asshole, man.
confused about? You're being the serious one.
Okay, let him be for a second. Let him be.
He's telling you to let him be.
Yeah, tell me go away.
I don't know what day it is yet.
I didn't work today, so it's a Friday.
Russ just goes, I don't know what day it is either.
Did I work today? Yeah.
He's being
Okay, ask her.
defensive.
Our little nurse asked him a question. What year is it?
Our little nurse.
2014.
You got it. You got it.
What's today's date?
I don't know.
Steve.
10.
Steve, up to your right.
10.
I don't even know what
Can
day
you
it is.
Ah,
see
you
my
got it
finger?
right.
Can you see my finger?
Yep.
I need you to follow my finger, okay?
Okay. How's it going?
Hey.
Is that okay?
Russ
Is it
just
blurry at all?
keeps
Yeah, it's
on
a little
trying
blurry.
to convince
Is it-
that
It's
he's
like
fine, he's fine.
Tracing.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
He's telling me
Okay.
Tracing.
my
Are
finger's
you cold at all?
tracing.
No, I got on.
You got a onesie on, man.
No. It's
Oh, you got
it's
a compression suit?
Yeah.
You little sneaky dog, you.
I told you
I thought you really got a compression suit. I love it. I love it.
We spent $100 on them.
I love. Is it worth it?
Oh,
It was worth it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Totally.
would. I was.
So get your head. You guys get close together. I want to talk to you guys a little bit. All right, together, and no one else talk for a little bit, okay?
And again,
All right,
why
no one
not
else
like
talking
go
about
to
those gloves.
like ER
I'm gonna get over here.
or like wait
That would've been a
until
great time
they're
to go
okay to do an
paramedics.
exit interview?
Right.
Right.
Wait, Boston.
Okay.
Ooh.
What did you?
He's got a little red eye.
Does your eye hurt at all?
A little bit.
A little bit of your
Which one?
Yeah, a little
Okay, what
bit.
does it feel like?
It's like feels like it's like scratched, but
Look down?
it's just a blood vessel.
That was nasty. I was shocked when I saw that. I did not know how to
It's not
what to do about it.
No, you look like a tough guy myself.
man.
You look badass
I don't
right
have to
there.
tell anybody that we wussed out.
Yeah, no,
look
I won't say anything because no
badass.
one's gonna see this, is it?
Everybody's gonna see.
No, I won't tell nobody.
Everybody.
You've
Yeah, that's my hand.
Good
on
guys,
the
you
shadow.
guys,
Yeah,
let
sure,
him
look at his
Keep
other
going.
eye.
She's trying to help, and you got Russ being like, "You look like a badass. You're fine."
yeah, you constantly have been trying to evaluate
Hold on a
him.
second. I do want to hear all about you guys. Okay, once you let him relax, okay? Don't say what it is.
Worst experience of my life.
He's annoyed. Let him relax. He's trying to get the perfect exit interview on film, and
That's
you're
me.
fucking it up for him.
That's me.
That's you. Your makeup looks awesome, by the way. It's like the Joker.
I forgot who did it. We had a makeup artist. Like,
It's probably. I know the answer.
Yeah,
Brittany.
he's good. All right, listen to
Brittany
me.
Smith.
Clear us off right here. I want them both sit up there. All right, so gentlemen,
Because this was her first
tell us
tour
who
that
we
she
are. Tell us who
shadowed.
we
She
are. So
said,
you first.
and
there.
did
Who
makeup
are you?
for the.
I'm Ryan
Hunters
Lawrence. I'm in
Yeah.
McKamey Manor and just had the worst experience of my life.
Okay.
All right, you think we're good with the rest of this video?
I am Steve here.
Film.
I'm at McKamey Manor.
There's a question I
Don't
had.
ever come here.
They all point at something,
It's intense.
and
dude.
they're like, "That
it's
was
intense.
it. That was
Like,
it."
don't-
Is that the
don't do it.
thing?
Like,
And I'm wondering what they're pointing at.
Right.
don't. You guys don't need to.
So, gentlemen,
Listen to
Oh,
us.
It's not that far.
do I not try to tell people not to come here?
Yeah, and you mean every word of it.
I do, right?
Do no.
Just skip
no.
forward a little bit,
Horrible,
Chris.
horrible.
So, fix your hat, Steve. I see your little face. There we go. There we go. I want to see you. So give us the official review of your mini tour. You just had a little
Your
mini thing.
mini,
Give us the
mini
official
tour.
deal here.
Yeah, the little baby tour. 2.5
first.
hours long of just torture.
It was really physical, horrible, very well put together.
Very.
Everybody did an
they're
outstanding
fans.
job of giving me the worst time of my life and
see, when you're in a
terrified.
state like that, you're so easily
Did
manipulated.
you think you would really actually get
Yeah.
scared?
No, I didn't.
For me, like, it's
I didn't
okay
think I
if they
would, but I
like
did.
Did it take long
very
to actually
brutal
scare you?
physical
No, you guys
experiences.
nailed
It's
that pretty
the
quick.
matter
All
of
that
fact
in a
that
bag
it's
of
not
chips. You know,
actually
what do you think
safe, and
about
they
all
could have
this?
Yeah,
actually
you
died.
think you're tough until
Because
you
of who was
been
running
here
it.
for 20 minutes.
Want to quit?
And you didn't, man.
Yeah,
You didn't.
I didn't want to quit.
You kind of, your body's kind of gave out on you.
Did it?
Yeah,
No.
it kind of gave out a little
Oh shit.
bit. It happens then, right?
Yeah.
It's and so the kind of the moral of the story is, it doesn't matter how big and tough you are. What happens?
This.
You
me,
get drowned.
Turn into a pussy.
I've gotten tattooed for 11 hours straight.
And we are both covered in tattoos.
Yeah, I mean, I have everything but my.
Yeah,
I
so
mean,
maybe I don't know if we need to
my
keep
hands
watching
and
this
that
as much as just like
All right,
We
we
just
forgot
going
about
up on
that.
each other.
That was pretty.
other than the fact that like we saw them throwing up, they obviously had to eat gross shit. We know that they did the cage thing. right? We saw that at the beginning. What other stunts were like, what other things would be done to these people? Chokeholds, like they talk about it being so physical. What other things were done to them?
Let's see. So there was like a metal table that I think in the video you can see one of them is strapped to when his brother like has that emergency. Excuse me, I burped a little bit. Excuse me.
That's okay.
So yeah, he was strapped to the table. The medical table is one of those things. That's where also we would put the the spider on them. I think they had some like goop that they would put in their hair, fake dentist tools. I think at that point he had this gas mask thing that on a chair, like a gas mask attached to a chair that would fill with water. And
so again, simulate it like drowning.
Yeah, and then it would drain apparently. But that was one of his big things. And then let's see.
I'm just trying to think of the things that could get people to that level of panic or possible or like passing out, possibly having like it's got to be extremely physical. Sounds like it's a lot of water. And I don't know what it would feel like to be pretend drowned over and over again. And I keep using the word pretend because it's supposed to be a show, but
yeah,
I don't know what that would feel like, but it would be terrifying over and over and over again for 2.5 hours.
It doesn't even have to be over and over again for it to be terrifying. One time is plenty.
One time's...
All right. So this portion of the video is going to be a extremely triggering subject, and so we just want to give that trigger warning before we go further and just add a little bit of a disclaimer. So now back to the interview. All right, so at one point in time something happened for you to no longer work with them, and we'd really like to hear what went down. Why did you leave working for McKamey Manor? Because you told us you loved it so much.
Yeah. So what ended up happening is shortly after I worked there, a lot of the kids my age left, and there was only me and a couple kids my age, and then the adults, including Dallas, who was one of the actors. So during like the time of 2013, maybe the end of 2012, but especially through the end of 2013, there was a lot of like, quote unquote downtime. And so he and I grew closer and closer and closer until it became like very inappropriate. At the time I was 13 or 14, he was 23, 24, he had a fiance at the time. So to me as a young kid, I kind of like grew up a little bit in the manor, like from 12 to 13, that's, from a child to a teenager. So in my head, I'm thinking like, oh, this is normal. I'm going to get a boyfriend, and I had never had any other experiences like that before. So to me, it was something new and whatever he led me to believe that it was when it wasn't. So that went on for about a year, where in the haunt where everything's like dark and expansive, a lot of things could go on. So a lot of things went on, and at one point throughout that time, Carol saw him doing something to me in the haunt, and at that point had called the police, a detective.
Real quick, I do want to cut you off. Do you mind? I mean, we don't got to go into extreme detail, but when you say did something to you in the haunt, are you referring to something in sexual nature?
Yeah, sexual nature, and he would give me alcohol and drugs, like pills.
Like without, like, hey, take these pills, or like drugging you without your knowledge.
Like, hey, take this, it'll be cool. It's a muscle relaxer, like it'll be cool, whatever. Like just kind of convincing me stuff. And as a teenager, to break the rules, there's not much convincing that needs to be done. I was completely groomed to thinking that was normal. So
this went on for, like you said, it was about a year. And you were just getting to the part where you said you were actually seen as an act was happening, Carol saw.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think it would it be fair to say it was known that you guys were like more than friends to Russ? Or because I know you had said previously Dallas and Russ were very, very close.
Yeah, I did believe they were very close, and I have no idea if Russ knew or not. But the fact that they were so close and that it had gone on for so long made me question his knowledge in that, or his awareness of it. And I think even Carol had a suspicion earlier, like before she even saw it. I think she kind of like had a weird feeling.
So Carol notices, and what happens?
So she notices, she doesn't say anything in the moment, but at that point she calls the police, the detectives. On October 31st, 2014 is when the police show up at my house to interview me about everything that had happened with Dallas. And I think that was the day he was arrested too. So yeah, they questioned me.
He went to jail for this, correct?
Yes, I believe it was a short time. I didn't have to go and testify, so I don't know if there was a deal. There was probably a deal made where he would register without serving as much time or something like that. But yeah, so the police showed up at my house. They interviewed me. They interrogated me. Well, not interrogated. I was a victim of a crime. The detectives were amazing in the case. But they just asked me questions about it. After that, they, continued to come to my school. I was in high school at the time. They would pull me out of class to show me pictures, trying to identify myself in pictures on his phone, identify other women, stuff like that.
Did he have inappropriate media of you, to your knowledge?
Yeah, I did identify some of that to the detective.
I'm so sorry. Okay.
So this investigation goes on for a while. They look into it. Dallas does time.
Yeah.
With Dallas now removed from the haunt, why didn't you stay and go back? Was it just the traumatic event that took place, or was there more to it?
Yeah, well, the fact that pretty much was only allowed to happen because of the haunt. My grandpa didn't want me there, of course, anymore because he trusted Russ and Carol. He'd known them for as long as I had. So, there was that. And then our relationship also became very strained after. Russ and Carol took a very sharp 180 after that. So I was very close with them before the police showed up at my door. But after the investigation, all that stuff, Carol turned on me. She, would call me, text me at all times of the day saying, why did you do this? Why did you do that? How could you have let this happen? So she was very angry at me after all of this, and which made me even more confused. It's like, it just made me feel terrible about myself. Like I put my friends through this, like in school, the two actors that I worked with, I felt terrible trying to talk to them about it. Because I felt like I ruined it for them. And she was no support, no help, and neither was Russ. And at one point, they actually, both of them knocked on my door while my grandpa was home. And this was a little bit after the case and everything. So Carol was still kind of bothering me, not as much anymore. At some point, they both showed up at my house and kind of like they threatened me with legal action because I was on Facebook kind of talking about what was going on, what had happened. And the crazy things I had seen, especially in Ryan and Lawrence's tour. So
was that a Facebook group?
Yeah, I think it was a Facebook group. It was like McKamey Manor Rejects or something like that, maybe.
Okay. So one of the anti-McKamey Manor groups.
I think so, yeah.
Okay. And how did you join that in the first place? Like how...
I think it was after, because I felt really like angry after Carol had turned on me. So I joined one of the groups. And then so they were seeing those posts because nothing's like private anymore on the internet. So they were seeing the posts I was making, and then they showed up to my house. I was still a kid at this point, thoroughly going through this police investigation. And they showed up to my house, threatened me with legal action because of what I'm saying on Facebook. So they tell me in front of my grandpa, who's just as confused as I am, like, we have already a detective on the case. He's already, you know, he's got your number. And I was crying the entire time. I was devastated. I was like, why are they here? Why do I have to see these, you know, reminders of the trauma I've been through in the last year? You know, why do I have to see this woman who I thought was my mom, like, sit here and threaten me in my own home? Like, the second I saw them walk through the door, my heart dropped. And my grandpa didn't know what to do. You know, as a single parent, and two people come in, like two adults come into your home saying this shit. Like, he was confused. I was confused. So eventually the decision was that I would write an apology Facebook post, and that is still up. It's still out there somewhere, saying that, you know, I'm so sorry about what I said. It's not true. Russ and Carol are great people. Basically just lying, just backtracking on everything I said. And then
Did you write that yourself, or did they have a
They had me write it down
made
and then show it to them. So they were still in my house when I wrote it. They had me write it down on a piece of paper. I handed it to them. They said yes or no, and then I would post what they approved.
Oh my God. And you were how old?
At that point, I was probably 15 by that point.
So not only were you groomed, had a sexual relationship with an adult, you were then somehow blamed for the situation by another adult who you trusted and looked up to like it was your mother or father.
Yeah. Those were the hardest years of my life.
I can't imagine. Like, I really can't. I've told you this before when we talked. I myself went through a similar situation. I know how hard it is to work through that trauma in your adult years.
Yeah.
But there's a lot more added on to your situation that I can't even comprehend how that must have made you feel.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry you went through
so
the same thing either. I'm sorry too.
Yeah. Sad reality of this world, but I'm just kind of This is the second time we've heard this story, and I'm still just as shocked. I don't know about you guys, but yeah, was there ever an amends made?
No, things ended on a pretty bad note with her. I don't know why she decided to do what she did, whether it was to show the cops that she was, you know, on my ass and finally acting like some sort of responsible adult, or if she felt, I don't know what it was. I don't think it was all bad, but I think she should have reflected after the fact and maybe reached out to me and apologized. As far as I know, she still blocked me. Honestly, I don't care at this point, but still, I feel like there's a certain, you know, that you can be a victim and also be a shitty person. And I feel like for what she did to me, that's exactly the situation.
What actually happened was she didn't actually like call the cops immediately, right? Like, I thought that there was a whole setup that was done with this to where
setup, but I don't know
like a
if that
sting
was...
type deal.
Yeah, I think once she had reported it, I don't know if it was immediately after, but they did some sort of operation where they pretended to be like minors online to try and get more solid evidence against him. I think that's why I didn't have to testify. Yeah.
Chris Hansen him.
Yeah.
So we're gonna wrap this up here. What I see in this situation, this is just an outsider looking in, an opinion, not me talking facts in any way. This is just what I see it as. You were out there telling the truth about the horrific things that you experienced and saw in this manor. The cops have now become involved because of this case, and eyes are legal eyes are on the manor, and they know you're out running around on the internet, and they wanted to silence you because any more bad attention that was drawn to there, something else they could look into, their lives were on the line with being in possible legal trouble.
They almost just killed a guy too. I mean,
yeah,
like we literally just watched
bit.
them almost kill a guy.
Yeah, he was flatlined.
Yeah, that's what I thought you said in our previous talk, that he had actually flatlined.
Yeah, he had lost his heartbeat and his breathing for I don't know how long, but at least a few seconds.
But how can we, like, there was no medical equipment.
Right, so there's no way to determine if he actually flatlined, but someone must have checked his pulse or something.
Yeah,
right?
he had no pulse, no breathing. Yeah, I think yeah.
So how was he resuscitated? Did he come back on his own, or did he get CPR, or?
Yeah, I think they were slapping him around or something, and he came back on his own. I don't think they started doing compressions or anything. I think he said personally that he saw his mother when he was out, and that she told him it wasn't his time. That was something he said.
We were told you couldn't talk to us because you're legally not allowed to talk about McKamey Manor or what happened. And I instantly said something. I said, well, wait a second. Why would she, as a 15-year-old girl, get in any kind of legal trouble for what happened? And she just
That's just what they threatened me with. They just threatened me with the legal action. They didn't take anything. Yeah. But yeah, no, that's despicable. I tried to kind of talk nicely about her because she was just as much of a victim of Russ's as I was. I mean, not as Russ's, she was just as much of a victim as I was in our own different situations. But that's despicable.
In my personal opinion, I think she carries a lot of guilt and shame for what she was associated with, or maybe allowed happen.
We're gonna be therapists.
I think she carries that with her, and then you became the enemy because she had to cover up, or else people would know that she allowed this kind of thing to happen in her presence. That's my opinion. It's just a sad situation all around.
Very sad.
Seem like you have come a long way in your life.
Yeah.
You are a very well-spoken, eloquent, sweet, intelligent young lady, and
thank you.
I'm very proud of you for being vocal about this and talking about this with we're strangers. I mean, we've talked a few times, but the three of us are strangers, and to put your trust into us to get your story told means a lot.
Yeah, you guys are the nicest strangers I've ever met. No stranger danger here.
Well, thank you.
Well, I just want to back Boston on that. You're extremely brave for coming up here and being so vulnerable and telling your story. And I thank you for doing this, because this just adds to the rumors and the case, showing the type of person that we are trying to shut down.
Yeah.
And hopefully preventing any more future victims from happening. Right now it's not running. This is good. We don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but
yeah, he's gone radio silent.
There was supposed to be some sort of thing after the new year. I don't know if that was just baiting, but there was one post made over on his side.
So Mercedes, is there any last words that you want to say before we wrap this up?
No, I really appreciate, the platform you guys have given me to speak freely and honestly. And that's the biggest thing for me. There's so much fake stuff out there, like the $20,000, the Vegas, it's so cool. Everyone should try it. No, it doesn't. I don't know. The second,
and you see that every year. Unfortunately, you went through this, and every year you have to go through this.
Yeah, exactly. So I appreciate your completely unbiased reporting, and I can't wait to check out more of your stuff too, because I love haunted everything and spooky everything. So I can't wait to become a fan.
Well, thank you, Josh. Any last words from you?
No, just thanks for coming on, Mercedes. I think you have been one of the more revealing people I've had the chance to talk to. So just thank you for sharing with us and being honest with us.
Of course, thank
And
you.
for being brave enough to just come on our platform and, you know, tell your story. We really appreciate it. I know I do.
Of course.
Mhm,
I'm
we
sorry
all do.
Carol put you through some stuff too. It's not fair.
It's okay. You clearly went through a lot worse. Things happen. I just hate you had to go through that. It really sucks to hear that. But I'm glad that you're doing a lot better. You seem a lot better.
Yeah, I appreciate
And I
it.
just,
And I hope
good
you
luck to you
know.
in the future.
Oh yeah.
I'm sorry. Sorry to interrupt. I hope you know,
No.
Mercedes, that like I am sure at this age and this many years since what happened with you, I am sure you've got a great support system. But please know that the three of us here, and I am sure we're gonna get a lot of comments in our chat right now from our community, our McKamey Manor road trip community. Please know, like we are here to be a support for you always. Like if you need anything, reach out. You know, life, sometimes that trauma stuff comes back up, it sneaks back up and unexpectedly, and you need a friend. So we're here, okay?
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, and thank you everybody watching. We hope that this was very informative to you and opened some more of those eyes that were on the fence on where they stood on what was right and wrong. And I hope everybody has a good night.
You too.